mentioned in terms of security, people talking about new. When you talk about new, the implication is better. That is not always the case, as I'm sure you've had examples of. How do you handle that when someone you're talking to an organization and they say, "Hey, this is new and exciting," and you say, "Well, it's new, but it's in your case, it's not better." How do you handle that little?
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, I kind of alluded a little bit to the industry machinery, right? That keeps planned obsolescence happening and forces you to upgrade things. And we used to use a lot more boxes than we do now, because a lot of things are managed operationally somewhere else. That's the magic of managed services in a lot of different cases. And I will wrap that back around to what you guys are doing on the managed services side. But the reality is what I constantly am advocating and advising folks to do is stay focused on the mission, right? Protect the critical data. You don't get more points for using something new and shiny, right? You just don't, right? You don't get more points by being on the bleeding edge, using some weird Kubernetes driven thing up in a public cloud that then integrates with 15 other different managed, data providers, dealing with a constituency of users all across the world, right? There's no extra points for that. So folks need to really just keep focused on what is the data that's important to me, right? How is it that I'm going to protect it? Who is after it, and what tactics do they tend to deal with? And making sure that you've got a way to both detect and fast and quickly remediate these things, right? So everybody in the whole industry has been focused very much on detection for a long time, right? Because we realized prevention, there were clearly some issues with that, and not something that we could really depend on all day, every day. So we spent a lot of money and focused on detection, and everybody talks DR, right? Detection and response. Well, we spent a lot of time on detection. We spent a lot less time on response, and we spent almost no time on remediation, right? So really, to me, you still have an issue until you fix it, right? Getting an alert is not helpful. I mean, you can't do anything without an alert, but it's not helpful in and amongst itself. I have to make sure that I'm able to close the loop and remediate these things. So that gets back to the whole managed services thing, because you may have heard this, Bill. It seems that there is a lack of security professionals in the industry. I'm just going out on a limb saying you may have heard that data point.
Well, is that why you've been in the role for as long as you have, Mike? You're the best that they can get out there.
There is nothing I would like more than to be sitting on an island somewhere drinking something fruity. Right now, that's not an option. Your kids are littler, my kids are older, and they, require lots of investment, let's say, as they go off to school and do that kind of thing. But because we do have this huge both skill and personnel gap, organizations are looking for other folks to help them. Right. And that's why you continue to see such interest in like MDR, right? Managed detection and response. That's just somebody else doing a lot of the things that you used to do yourself, because you can't do them, because it's hard to retain folks. It's hard to find them. It's hard to train them. So if somebody else can take that monkey off your back, you want them to do that. And same thing with data management, right? Data protection. If there's somebody else that can look at all this telemetry, leverage a lot of the activities that they see across many customers to find patterns and to understand what data exfiltration looks like today, that helps, right? That's stuff I don't have to do myself. So listen, there's still going to be the rubber, kind of in the integration, and the escalation still has to be nailed down. Right. We still have to. So even if I'm using a service provider, at some point, I'm going to get something that I'm going to have to make actionable. I've got to focus on those kind of things. But the reality is with the customers that I'm talking to, it is do not get, kind of distracted by blinky lights and shiny objects, right? Stay focused on what you need to do, and that's to protect data. And if there's a way to do it in a way that, is much simpler, Occam was not wrong. So, kind of, we will look at that and say the simpler answer tends to be better. So if I can, kind of simplify my application stack so it's much more isolated, right? If I can restrict my data to certain areas and manage the entitlements for who can get to that data, much more tightly, I am going to be more secure. So stay focused on that, not so much on blinky objects.
it's hard sometimes. You get that shiny nickel syndrome. It's just, things are blinking out there. We're all just fish looking for a lure some days.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when somebody says, oh, I'll just say, listen, I started my career in networking and doing things like line encryptors, right? So I've seen a lot. And again, yes, there's some been really cool, shiny stuff. And I think this DevSecOps thing really does have an opportunity to transform a lot about how security works, but we're not there yet. And again, that I don't want that to be a solution looking for a problem. Right. I've got this problem. I can by streamlining and putting everything that I do within code and automating a lot of the activities in there, that can provide a solution to me. But my problem is complexity. My problem is sprawl. My problem is data everywhere. And a lot of these capabilities can help with that. But again, not in amongst themselves, right, as part of a much broader solution idea.
And that one point that you said there is the whole concept of a product looking for a problem versus a problem looking for a product. And I know which side of those that you, as a technology or a solution security vendor, where you want to be there.
Thanks for watching. Join us next time when we discuss why SaaS security is improving customer satisfaction.